Tomorrow, a judge in Georgia very well might likely turn the prosecutor into a witness. Depending on what he finds, he could disqualify her from the Trump prosecution. That would flip the case totally on its head. To be fair to Mr. Isikoff, since that interview with Dan, we've learned new details about Nathan Wade. Allegedly, Wade lied on his divorce papers that were filed under oath. Newsweek looked at the new filing, alleging Wade updated his answers to 2 questions, asking if he had sexual relations with anyone aside from his spouse during his marriage, and when he may have entertained a member of the opposite sex, not including his ex-wife during that period. The documents provided by one of the defendants, which Newsweek has seen, showed that Wade responded none to both questions on May 30th, 2023. But he has now updated those answers last month after the allegations of an improper relationship between himself and Willis were brought to light. Michael Isikoff wrote a book about the investigation called Find Me the Votes, a New York Times bestseller, and is with us now. If it is clear that Nathan Wade perjured himself, does that not completely change the case?
Well, there's a lot of assumptions there that there's going to be hard proof about this.
But Willis has already admitted a personal relationship.
She's admitted a personal relationship, as has Nathan Wade.
Right.
It's hard to see how that has had any impact on the case whatsoever. The questions now, which are going to be coming up at the hearing tomorrow, and this is going to be quite a hearing because
Pop the popcorn.
Nathan Wade is going to testify. There's a former law partner of Nathan Wade, who Ashley Merchant, the lawyer for Michael Roman, the guy who brought this motion, is supposed to testify. And I am told Fani Willis not only will be in the courtroom, but she wants to testify. She wants to go on the stand under oath and answer questions about this matter. It seems to me that the outstanding issues here are, when did the relationship begin? Wade has said in a sworn affidavit it did not begin until after he was hired. Willis has said that in court papers filed as well. And
I get you. I got a couple of questions here.
Well,
one is, this book was thoroughly reported. You said you spent a lot of time in Georgia. How did you miss this?
Well, not only did I miss it, like everybody else missed it, including people on the prosecution team with Fani Willis had no idea this. They were very discreet about it. There was no gossip. There was no talk about it. And, you know, frankly, the DA's sex life did not seem relevant to the huge issues that we were reporting. And I have to say, this has been, we'll see what happens tomorrow and what evidence is and how credible the one witness that Ashley Merchant, the lawyer for Michael Roman, has. This guy, Terrence Bradley, who is
they've already admitted the fair. That's not a question.
That's not a question, and it's hard to see whether that's an issue in and of itself. In and of itself, it has no impact on the case.
You've done a lot of journalism in your life.
Yes, I have.
Right.
I know a lot about sex scandals, and as sex scandals go, this is pretty lame. A consensual relationship between two adults, single adults.
One who was using taxpayer money to pay the other one. Hold on.
Yes.
And you think about, Jeff Zucker resigned in 2020, consensual affair.
Right.
Stephen Esterbrook, McDonald's, Priceline CEO, Best Buy CEO, Boeing CEO. These were affairs. These were not even in positions of power, which Fani Willis was in a position of power over Nathan Wade.
There's a legal standard here, right? Like, is this a conflict of interest? And if Judge McAvee, excuse me, if Judge McAvee,
the legal standard, though, is an appearance, though.
If Judge,
actually,
the judge may have been wrong about that. That's the standard for judges. It's not the standard for prosecutors. The standard for prosecutors is conflict of interest. It's not an appearance. The judge may have been wrong about that. But if the judge asks Ashley Roman, the lawyer for Michael Roman, explain to me how the relationship between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade prejudiced your client, I have no idea what she'll say. I mean, there's absolutely no evidence that it did, no evidence of prosecutorial misconduct, no evidence that it in any way tainted any of the evidence, the very important evidence in this case. So it does leave you scratching the head a bit, like, what is this about? What are we talking about? Now, the theory here seems to be that the money, because Nathan Wade was hired as an outside counsel and was being paid, that therefore this was a corrupt bargain and they had some vested interest in paying, in making money for Nathan Wade so he could take her on trips. Right. Now, she has said in the court papers that on these trips that they split the expenses roughly equal. Well, if that's the case, you know, and she can show that, it's hard to see how that goes anywhere. I mean, Jack Smith is being paid out by the Justice Department. Can you argue that he brought the election interference case so he can make more money? That's the gist of the argument, which sounds kind of preposterous when you think about it. I mean, like, come on.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.